Hi everyone, my name is Mayra Ixavillar. I am an instructional designer for e-learning and mLearning. I'm from Argentina and this is my first time at mLearnCon, so I'm really happy and grateful to be here today. And I really hope that you can learn something useful from my presentation, something that you can apply to your projects tomorrow, next week, something that can help you to create more effective mobile learning experiences. But before jumping into the functionalities of Adobe Edge Animate, which is the tool that we are going to discuss in this session, I think that it's very important to understand some key mobile learning design principles. I'm going to refer to these principles very quickly at this stage of my presentation. It's going to be just an overview. But as I advance through my presentation, I'm going to go deeper into these principles, and I'm going to show you how some of the functionalities of Edge Animate support these principles, and therefore this tool can better support multi-device development. The first principle is that we need to develop a new mindset in order to create more effective mobile learning experiences. We are humans, and as humans we don't like changes. We like to keep the things the way they are because that makes us feel comfortable and safe. So even though we have been witnessing a huge advance in mobile technologies during the last couple of years, we still try to use those latest technologies with all educational approaches, with all instructional techniques and templates, and that prevents us from really exploiting the potential of mobile technologies for educational purposes. The second principle is that we need to guarantee the accessibility, the continuity, and the permanence of our content. Some years ago, we used to design with a clear understanding of the conditions and the environments where our learners access our content. In fact, there was only one standard environment. We'd picture the learner at the office, at the desk, and in front of a PC. But now our learners want to access our content from different devices and from different environments, and we need to prepare our content for that. We need to make our content adapted, and we need to make our content durable. Otherwise, it's going to become obsolete and unusable, and we don't want that. The third principle is that at the beginning of our projects, we don't need to concentrate so much on screen sizes and platform requirements, because even though these are important and valid considerations when we design mobile experiences or multi-device experiences, they may impose some constraints on our design. Because at the beginning, we really need to concentrate on the type of experience that we want to create, on the type of solution that we want to design. We need to concentrate on the learner, the needs, and the context. These are the key elements of mobile learning. Only when we understand those elements, we can come up with the most suitable solution, with the ultimate mobile learning experiences. Because remember that we are not designing for devices, we are not designing for platforms, we are designing for people, we are designing for needs, we are designing for context. The fourth principle is that we need to leverage the unique built-in capabilities of mobile devices. I'm not saying that every single mobile learning project that you are going to start is going to include camera, geolocation, or voice input, for example. I'm just saying if after considering the key elements of mobile learning, you think that these built-in capabilities can really enhance the learning experience, can really contribute to the learning process, you need to leverage them. Think, for example, about the possibilities of augmented reality for educational purposes, or think about all the information that these devices can store about our learners' location, preferences, likes, and how we can use that information to create more customized, more personalized learning solutions. The fifth principle is that we need to try to experiment with new technologies and new formats. As I said some minutes ago, for many years we have been using the same technologies, the same formats, but now we really need to see what's new and what those new formats and those new technologies can bring to the mobile experience. Later in my presentation, I'm going to talk about scalable vector graphics, for example, and what type of experience we can create when we use those type of graphics in our design. The sixth principle is that we need to experiment with a natural sense of touch. Now we can create direct interactions between the learner and the content, which can help the learners accomplish something just by using their gestures. And you can tell me, but learners can also accomplish something, can also carry out a task by using a mouse or a keyboard, but touch is different. Touch feels natural. There are no more barriers, no more abstractions. It's just the learner and the content. The seventh principle is that we need to test our design on real devices, because even though there are many online simulators that can help you to quickly test your design without leaving your PC, because they can emulate different environments, the problem is that it is still your PC. In order to understand how your content is going to display, how your content is going to react, you need to test it on real devices. And the last principle is that we need to try to create the exact solution. Sometimes when people ask me, how do you approach mobile learning design, or which tools do you use to create mobile learning experiences? My answer is that first, I concentrate on the key elements of mobile learning. And then, I never fall in love with tools. Some tools are great for some tasks, but they fall short for others. And let me tell you something about e-learning tools. They are great for e-learning. And that's the end of my sentence. So I really encourage you to explore new technologies, new tools, new possibilities that can help you to create the ultimate mobile learning experience, because that is going to give you the knowledge and the insights that you need to approach every mobile learning project in a unique way. And this is what I have been doing for the last couple of years. I have been testing different tools, either to create mobile content from scratch or to convert legacy content to mobile-ready formats. I have tested mobile applications, mobile platforms, do-it-yourself kits, desktop solutions, cloud-based solutions, and every time I tested a new tool, I encountered weaknesses and strengths. And there was a constant question in my mind: how can I optimize, or how can this tool help me optimize my content for the different devices that are going to access it? And these are my questions for you now. Which tools do you use to create mobile learning experiences, and how can these tools support multi-device development? How can this tool help you to optimize your content for the different devices that are going to access it? From my experience and from my experimentation process, I started to realize that most of the authoring tools that we currently use trap us in a fixed canvas, in a sort of legacy functionalities, and those old functionalities and that fixed canvas do not effectively support the design of multi-device experiences. Because most of these tools were developed during the PC time, so they follow PC paradigms, and they support the design of static content for PC only. But now as instructional designers, we have a real challenge, because we need to cater for our learners' needs on and beyond the desktop. And when at the beginning of my presentation I told you that we need to develop a new mindset, what I wanted to say is that we need to leave behind all those technologies and tools and start embracing new possibilities that can help us to reach our learners everywhere. So when I started to use Adobe Edge Animate, I was happy because I was able to identify some key functionalities, some key features that show a unique multi-device thinking behind this tool. And these are the functionalities that I want to share with you today. The first functionality is that Edge Animate harnesses the latest web technologies. This tool was developed from the ground up, relying strongly on HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. No Flash here. We all know that for many years, Flash was the most reliable and the most used delivery method, not only for e-learning content, but also for web experiences. But we also know that Apple's devices do not support Flash-based content. And even though there are some workarounds to make Flash-based content played on an iPad, and there are other mobile devices that do support Flash like Android or Windows, it's not a question of what support what, or how can I make this play here. It's a question of designing more effective solutions, future-proof solutions. I mean, we really need to start creating experiences that can be accessed from most devices, even devices do not exist already. And this is a task that technologies like HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript allow us to accomplish. With these technologies, we can create device-agnostic, platform-agnostic experiences. And when you listen to me talking about technologies like HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript, you may be wondering, okay, but I am an instructional designer, I'm not a web developer, I have no experience with coding. Well, to get started with Adobe Edge Animate, you don't need to be an expert in coding. The first time you create a project and you save it, some HTML files, JavaScript files are automatically created and saved in a folder that is going to contain all the information of your project. So you are not going to write HTML. If you're not acquainted with these technologies, for you to have a clear understanding, HTML is going to give the structure to your project, CSS is going to give the visual style, the presentation, and JavaScript is going to enhance the experience. Now I'm going to share with you a brief video to show you the first steps to get started with Edge Animate. So first, you create a new project, and this is the canvas. This is the place where you are going to build up your composition. And in order to start building your composition, you can select one of the shapes from the toolbar on the top. And you can assign properties to each of these elements from a property panel. These are, in fact, CSS properties, basic CSS properties like color, or more advanced CSS properties like proportional dimensions and relative position. These are the presets that we can use later for our adapted layouts. But for the moment being, you don't need to worry so much about proportional dimensions because that is the topic that I'm going to discuss in the next section of my presentation. So you only need to know that you can explore this properties panel and assign different properties to your elements. Now, to add animation to your projects, you can use the timeline. And here I'm going to select a toggle pin and I'm going to design the duration of my animation. In this animation, I'm going to make the green rectangle grow. And even though some minutes ago I told you that you don't need to be an expert in coding to get started with Edge Animate, in order to make the most of this tool and add more advanced interactivity to your projects, you need to be acquainted with JavaScript, which is the coding language of Edge Animate. But the good thing is that you have an action panel that is going to offer you different options, different pre-configured bits of code, and you can select those pieces of code and insert those into your composition. And this was a very instructional activity for me because this was the way I got started with JavaScript. And I am still learning because I'm still exploring and experimenting with these pieces of code, and I can evaluate which type of experience I can create. So here I'm going to add a click event that is going to trigger the animation that I have just created. And if I preview that on a browser, when I click on the green rectangle, the animation is going to play. That is, the green rectangle is going to grow. Now I'm going to save my project, and you are going to see that the HTML files and JavaScript files are automatically created. And here's the structure of your first project.